it's fractured. They're making something very simple. It's probably a little more complex. It is pretty complex, but it helps give you an idea. So now I have a dollar, not as much as it was yesterday. But the value of a barrel of oil stays the same. The value is whatever the value is, however it's calculated, stays the same. But now it's going to take more dollars to buy that barrel because the dollar's not worth as much as it was yesterday. So therefore, it's going to take a few more of them to make up for the value of the oil. So when we see the dollar devaluing, and by the way, yes, last month the dollar had the best increase, the 1.8% increase in value. That's the best increase that we've seen in a year in the dollar. But that's simplistic, but it kind of gives you an idea of why that is.
I got you. Okay. And then does that still benefit the oil companies if it goes up due to the...
Yeah. Then the value of the dollar. So for Germany to buy that barrel of oil, it now costs them more of their dollars. You know what I mean? So
right.
It doesn't. That's why China manipulates their currency downward, because they want to make their products that they're exporting more competitive. And Japan does the same thing because they're export-driven economies, and that's very important to them. But when we lose purchasing power, that's not good for us because we're a consumer-driven economy. Our dollars tend to stay here, 71% of them stay here in America. We're not exporting like other countries. That's why I get frustrated when Congress compares our debt and our finances here in America to Japan and China, who's got debt to GDP ratios 3 times, 4 times more than ours. And they say, well, they're doing just fine. Yeah, but they're an export nation. They actually benefit from that. We don't. So, I don't know. I'm trying to keep it as, not get too deep in the weeds, but I think that maybe gives you an overview.
Perfect, yes. Thank you very much.
All right, Harry, thank you. I appreciate the call. 844-707-5533. 844-707-5533. We got one line open. Rapid fire Friday. Let me go to Mary Jo. Mary Jo calling us from Arkansas. Hey, Mary Jo.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm 64, and I was considering paying the taxes on some of my traditional IRA money, and I was wondering, is it better to just move it to a Roth account or to an investing account?
Yeah, so do you have a Roth account already?
Yes.
I mean, if this is money that you think you're not going to be needing,
Correct.
I would move it over to the Roth.
Okay.
Because it's going to grow tax-free. But you're still going to have to pay the tax on it when you move it. But that's not a bad idea to roll some of it over into the Roth.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. 844-707-5533. Let me go to Brenda. Brenda calling us from Georgia. Hey, Brenda.
Good morning, Dan. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
That's good. That oil company name I submitted to you, I just wanted to know.
bad dream? What's wrong with her? What's the matter? What's the matter, boy? Come on. Girl. What's the matter? Okay? Bad dream, Pepper?
Began when the Emperor Justinian gave the Pope of Rome an army to enforce his decrees in 538 AD. If you go 3.5 prophetic years, or 1,260 days, and if a day equals a year, that's 1,260 years, from 538 it comes to 1798, when the Catholic Church lost its power over Europe, because Napoleon came into power and they actually arrested the Pope, put him in prison, and he died in captivity in Valence, France. But that middle wound was healed, and they came back and became a political power again, like back in 1928, and that's why the Pope just spoke to American Congress and United Nations, and there's ambassadors that go to the Vatican, because they are a political power. Now, that's a lot to swallow, and that's why I knew we couldn't cover it all. So please do send for the lesson, or look at the DVD online. Just type in Live Beast Babylon. I think we got one of our YouTube channels there. It's got 750,000 views on that one YouTube, so it's been pretty popular. Who's next, Pastor Ross? All right, the next caller that we have is Leanne, listening in Florida. Leanne, welcome to the program.
Hi, good night, Pastor Ross and Pastor Ross. My question is, my husband had lunch with some of our church members, and there was a couple there that had mentioned that Sabbath actually starts from dawn on Saturday to dawn on Sunday, and he used verses like Matthew 28:1 and John 20:19 to make his point. I was wondering if you could explain those verses to me, and to explain why, the Sabbath is not from dawn Saturday to dawn Sunday.
Well, okay, good question. It's pretty clear from a number of verses. In the Old Testament, God said, "Even unto Eve, you will celebrate your Sabbath." And I think it's the Gospel of Mark, it says, and at sundown, when the Sabbath ended, and they wanted to get Jesus' body off the cross Friday afternoon before the Sabbath. There's so many different places you could look at. People came to Jesus after the sun went down to have their sick healed because they thought they weren't supposed to have them healed on Sabbath. Of course, Christ never told them that, but it's just one more place where it shows they recognized the Sabbath began and ended at sundown. Days in the Bible did not begin at sunrise. They began and they ended at sunset. And we do have a study. Well, for one thing, we got a website that's got all these verses and many more called SabbathTruth.com. Anyone out there listening, if you want to see it's the best website out there that has information on the Sabbath and the history of it. Just go to SabbathTruth.com and you'll see tons of scriptures there.
Would you mind explaining Matthew 28:1 to me and John 20:19?
Yeah, all right, let's go to Matthew 28, verse 1. And hang on here. That's, of course, talking about the resurrection. Now, after the Sabbath, as the first day of the week began to dawn, right, the Sabbath ended sundown, Saturday evening. And it says, as the first day of the week began to dawn, first day would have been Sunday. It's talking about the sunrise. It's not saying the Sabbath ended at sundown. It's just saying the Sabbath was past. And now, first day, the sun was coming up. And the other one you wanted was?
John 20:19.
Okay. John 20, verse 19. And it says, "In the same day at even, being the first day of the week, when the doors were shut and the disciples were assembled for fear of the Jews, Jesus came." Well, that says that the sun is going down Sunday afternoon. The first day is not over yet, and it's telling us it's around twilight. That's when Christ appeared to them. It's the same day of the resurrection.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
All right. Hey, thank you very much. Appreciate your call. Next caller is Stephanie, listening from Columbia, North Carolina. Stephanie, welcome to the program.
Hi, good evening, pastors. How are you?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good. I have a question regarding Revelation 4, verses 7 and 8. I can't read it. My Bible is in French. Revelation 4 talks about the 24 elders and 4 beings. I was told that the 24 elders are representatives of unfallen world. Who are the 4 beings then?
Well, the describe, of course, there's a number of symbols in Revelation, and the Bible describes these 4 creatures around the throne of God. And it also mentions them not only in Revelation, but it's Ezekiel, the chapter 1. Talks about the cherubim. Yes. Around there's 4 again there. That's sort of a picture there of the universal leadership of God. The Bible talks about he'll send his angels to the 4 corners of the earth. These creatures are full of eyes. It's describing the all-knowing ability of God. Each of the faces of the creatures says something about the gospel. You've got, I think, it's an eagle, a calf, a man, and a lion. Starts with a lion. Starts with a lion. Yeah, I can get it right. The lion. That's right. This is his category. Go ahead. And you got the lion, the ox, the man, and the eagle. Yeah, that's kind of the representation of it. Some have seen that, just to add it real quick. I mean, these are living creatures that sort of form God's throne. You also have it described in Ezekiel chapter 10. But some have seen in this sort of a miniature of the plan of redemption to some degree. You have a lion, which represents Christ's position prior to the incarnation. You have the ox, which is a beast of burden. Jesus came to bear our sins, to die in our place. The ox is a sacrificial animal as well. Then you have one that has the face of a man. People have seen that Jesus, our high priest, ministering for us in heaven. And an eagle representing royalty or kingship. Jesus comes again as King of Kings and Lord of Lords. So there's some parallels that people have seen in the description of the 4 living creatures. I also saw that people made a pretty good case for, and it goes along perfectly with what you're saying, that in the Gospel of Matthew, he talks about Jesus as the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Jesus is the King. And in the Gospel of John, Jesus is the sacrifice. In the Gospel of Luke, Luke was a physician, shows Jesus the humanity of Jesus. And Mark is the fastest Gospel, and it's just a quick flyover. It's Jesus the eagle. And so you're even in the 4 Gospels, you can kind of see a picture of that. But yeah, that is a deep and wide verse. And so the 24 elders, I'm inclined to agree. I know there's a few different theories. I think they are representatives of unfallen worlds. And you would see that also in the book of Job. Yes, in the book of Job, they refer to as the sons of God. Yeah. And you read in Psalms, it talks about the Lord reigning before his elders gloriously. So you read about this group of people, the elders, these beings, even in the Old Testament. Very good. Hey, thank you so much. Appreciate your call and your question. And let's see if we can get a few more in before. I think it's a warning line. It was great. Yeah, there were a number of important parts of those. So on that goal map, users are willing to support that. Now let's see. In a bed and the Facebook. Radio. Everything you know about claiming your Social Security benefits has been turned upside down. If you simply rely on traditional claiming strategies, you could trigger an app breakaway to that level of client satisfaction. Which was felt as good. Oh, you're fine with yeah. responsible as the foundation for marriages that thrive. And we appreciate those of you who help us reach more folks. When you make a donation, it's easy to do. Thank you.
I'm not very easy.
Can you make me an egg, please?
Can we get an egg?
Oh, mid-90s, something. For cigar butts, they're almost gone. I mean, there are a few left. They're private clubs. But cigars have found China and vice versa. And Gene, who knew that the Chinese would go through all the fads that America went through, but they're 25 years behind us?
Yeah, the Chinese are absolutely buying into Cuban cigars. They had a surge in revenues. The one manufacturer from Cuba, Habanos SA, had a global revenue rise of 12% last year. They give us $500 million a year selling Cuban cigars, and their biggest customers are the Chinese. Chinese customers, consumers, I mean, is their income and their wealth and their spending power has grown over the past decade or so, has really jumped into buying and not only traveling but buying luxury brands from around the world. And what better luxury is there, particularly if you're a cigar lover, than Cuban cigars? Still can't get them here in the U.S. legally, I don't believe. You got to go to Canada.
It was a sales hook for many decades. You couldn't get them legally. You had the black market. That's how it works. You could charge more. Now, Gene, you know a great deal about Great Britain. And this is a puzzle to me because this is an item from the Daily Mail. Swimwear from old fishing nets. That doesn't sound to me like the high end. Is this ordinary swimwear?
It sounds very British, doesn't it? This is a British entrepreneur named Isabel Campbell. She actually is Australian. She's selling this, and she's got a new things up in London. She's created a bunch of swimwear. It's called OK Pretty, and what you said is absolutely right. She's taking old fishing nets and bits of plastic, and from it, because it's so sort of quirky and cool, she has designed swimwear for it, and apparently the women over in England are buying it up. They say it's just as comfortable as regular swimwear. It's cool looking, and by all means, it's sort of eco-friendly, where recycling it.
It's an old fishnet, Gene.
I guess it's very tight. If you look at some of the photos, it's really, I have such an admiration for entrepreneurs.
Okay, fine, it's fine. I guess somebody in America will catch on. A lot of fishing nets washing up right now in the coast of California and North Carolina. Now we go to the other side of small business, dealing with regulatory regime. And California has one right now. You might have heard about this. Gene and I reported on it several weeks ago. Apparently there was a fight to be the first to report on this, banning plastic straws. Wonderful. And actually punishing waiters. There's distributed plastic straws. California resisting. I imagine that there's an underground meeting for those who want to maintain their customers in plastic straws. Where's the center of resistance in California to the ban?
Well, the revolution is starting.